Hi, welcome back to Guitar Discoveries, shortcuts to help you play guitar, sing, record, and sound great doing it. Today's discovery is an invisible guitar problem you may not even know you have until it becomes very visible and it's already too late. I'm talking about either dryness or high humidity and how they really threaten all your guitars and make them harder to play, especially guitars with thin tops and glued backs and sides like acoustics, arch tops, and hollow bodies. So humidity is just the amount of water in the air. And the wood of every guitar is full of cells that transported water and sap through the tree when it was alive. But even now, long after being cut, the wood cells keep losing water to the air when it's dry and absorbing water from the air when it's humid. Too dry, the wood shrinks. Too humid, the wood expands a lot. Stick around to see the very real problems that low and high humidity levels can cause and discover an easy way to keep your guitars at the perfect level of humidity no matter where you live. Now, if you don't think relative humidity really matters to your guitars, keep watching because I'm going to open your eyes and maybe scare you a little. Dryness or humidity often do permanent damage and it can happen quickly. Now, when I first started playing, I never thought about guitar humidity, but two really special guitars of mine woke me up to the risks. Back in 1978, I was living in Michigan and I bought this 1964 Gibson J50. You can watch an in-depth feature all about it here. That was my very first Guitar Discoveries video 100 episodes ago. Now, when I bought this J50, it was only 14 years old, but it already had visible finish checking, lots of little cracks in the top surface of this nitrocellulose lacquer. Back then, I didn't know how or why the cracks were there, but I saw them as a flaw and I negotiated down the price because of the damage. Now, today, I think the checking gives it character, but it is evidence of former abuse, kind of like bruises or scars. Okay then, just a few years later, I inherited a Martin 028 from the late 1800s. And as soon as I pulled it out of the case, I noticed two long surface cracks in the top running downward from the bridge. I got them repaired, but you can still see where they were. And there were a couple cracks on the back too. Now, today I know that this Gibson's finish checking was caused by fluctuations in temperature and humidity, because there's a huge swing between hot Michigan summers and cold Michigan winters. In summer, you got humidity that's often 85% or higher, and then in winter, heating the indoor air brings the humidity way down to 20% or less, and those are serious problems. Now, what about the cracks in the Martin? Where did those come from? Similar issues. That guitar spent decades in my grandparents' unair-conditioned New York City apartment, hot and humid in the summer, and then overheated and underhumidified in the winter. Okay, so why do guitars get so stressed by humidity changes? Well, those wood cells we were talking about are just like sponges. Think about the water in the air. It either gets pulled out of the cells, like out of the guitar, or then soaked up by the cells, and that causes the wood to contract and expand. Then think about how the guitar top is glued to the guitar's rigid sides. Okay, so it's fixed. Now, the ideal relative humidity range, or RH for guitar, is 45 to 55%. When it's lower than that, the top shrinks, but the sides are stuck in place, so the top can actually crack or even pull apart. The braces inside the guitar can separate from the top and back, causing rattling. Your frets can actually sprout where they protrude from the neck. The bridge glue can dry out and start to lift, and a dry neck tends to back bow, which lowers the strings, especially near the nut, causing fret buzz. So it seems like intuitively people know it's bad to let a guitar dry out, so they usually buy cheap sound hole humidifiers. And in a really dry climate, those really help. but they only add humidity, they don't balance it. So what happens if a guitar gets too wet? Well, it only takes a few weeks of very high humidity, 80 to 90%, like in Michigan, or a few months of medium high humidity, 60 to 70%, like here in the Bay Area. And when it's humid, the guitar top absorbs water and expands. So it pushes against the rigid sides and then starts bowing up in the middle. You might see the bridge and the wood below it lifting a little bit. You might see, if you flip around to the back, you might actually see a little center dip near the tail on the back of the guitar. And then a wet neck tends to upbow, okay, so curving this way. And that suspends the strings higher over the fingerboard and creates a high action problem. So that guitar is going to have intonation issues and be a lot harder to play. On top of that, the sound gets duller because the extra water weight in the wood prevents the top from vibrating freely. So cracks from low humidity are bad, but swelling from high humidity can be even worse. You know, the finish can lift, the glue joints can fail, the neck angles will shift. It can really be a mess. So what's the solution? How can you control humidity and keep it around 50% for the benefit of those prized guitars of yours? I mean, weather is weather, right? And most of us don't have humidity controls in our homes. I don't. Well, the best solution I have found is called a Humidipak from D'Addario. I hope you can see that, okay? Used to be from Planet Waves, now D'Addario. It costs about $20 for the initial kit. And that includes these 2 fabric packs and then 3 of these Humidipaks, these little gel packs. So I want to make it clear that I do not get paid to endorse this. I just think it's a great product. I use it for all the guitars I really care about. Now, I'm going to put buying links down in the description, and if you do use my links to buy, I will get a teeny little affiliate fee, which I actually do appreciate. So the Humidipak is really a low maintenance, 2-way humidity control system. So instead of trying to control the humidity in the whole environment, it just controls it in each guitar case. So it's really super easy to use. I'll show you right now. You have 1 pouch which holds 2 gel packs. That's going to suspend from the strings into the sound hole on an acoustic guitar. And you got a single pouch that holds a single pack. So you take a gel pack and you slip it right in the little pocket from the underside. Kind of like putting a pillowcase on a pillow. And then you do the same thing on the other side. So you basically have 2 gel packs in this particular sleeve. And it has a little, almost like a carry handle. And so what you're going to do then is suspend that and push the thing down into the guitar on each side of those guys so it fits in like that. So just suspended, hanging down into the sound hole and keeping that either more humid or less humid depending on the relative humidity in the environment. And then with the second pouch, you put another gel pack inside it, and that just goes behind the headstock in your case. So you got this really nice even humidification or drying that's happening from having 2 packs here, 1 pack there. Now in the case of an electric guitar, you're not going to be suspending this from the sound hole, obviously, so you figure out you can either put it all up at the top or whatever. So what's so cool is that Humidipaks automatically maintain that sort of magic 45 to 50% relative humidity inside the case. So you're not guessing, you're not soaking a humidifier or a sponge in water, you're not worrying about what the seasons or the location or the temperature might be doing to the humidity of that guitar. So I've been using Humidipaks for a few years, and I've checked the cases with a hygrometer, and they really do keep my guitars very close to 50% humidity. So they're really a no-brainer to me. I mean, before having Humidipaks and using them, my guitars really changed with the seasons, and after a long rainy spell or a dry spell, I'd notice some guitars feel, play, and even sound different. And when it got bad, I'd bring them to a luthier for a pro setup. So now that I'm being careful with the Humidipaks, I get a pro setup and it usually lasts for years instead of months. And I haven't seen any new finish checking or other issues since I started putting these in my cases. All right, let's go back to the cost for a sec. Are these things worth it? I mean, Humidipaks are a significant upfront cost if you have quite a few guitars. I mean, $20 per guitar, right? And how often you're going to need to change or recharge these humidity control packets is going to depend on the external humidity in your environment and how often you open and close the case. I mean, in dry conditions, these packs get hard and crystallize like rock salt after a while. In wet conditions, they can get soft and oversaturated. I live in the Bay Area where we have slightly higher than optimal humidity. And for me, changing or recharging packs every 6 months is usually plenty. I mean, I check mine quarterly and then I make notes and reminders in my calendar. So I did say you can recharge the packs, and what I'm talking about is ways to add or subtract moisture so you can reuse them, save some money, and avoid landfilling these guys every time. So, not surprisingly, recharging is not recommended by D'Addario, but I've done it and it works. So I'm going to put some video links in the description if you want to see some creative recharging options from other users. But even at full price, each guitar cost me $20 for the first fabric pouch and the 3 packets that I've got, right? And then I spend about $15 for 3 replacement packs every 6 months. So $30 covers the first year, and then using 6 replacement packs per guitar, or $30 a year after that. You know, it's $30 a year, which, you know, might not be worth it for your cheap guitars, but for any valuable instrument, I think Humidipaks are a bargain. You know, these are a bargain insurance policy, and they're a great way to keep them playing optimally. I mean, really, the way I see it, spending $30 a year on humidity control, I keep the guitar really stable, and I save the $60 to $80 it would cost me for a new setup. So I'm actually way ahead. Plus, you know, it's better for the guitar, saves a lot of time and hassle for me. So that's it, the humble Humidipak, an easy way to get and keep humidity right at 50%, which is going to extend the life and improve the playability and sound of all your guitars. All right, please visit guitardiscoveries.com for all my videos to help you play guitar, sing, record, and sound great doing it. You'll also find a link over there to support me on Patreon, which really helps me keep making these videos. And real quick before you go, make sure to like the video and subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. Thanks and happy discovering.